Hi, I'm Dan from HPC, and in this video I'll be talking about manual handling. We'll be talking about the associated hazards, how to minimise these hazards, and tips for keeping your people safe when performing manual handling. Manual handling injuries are one of the most common types of injuries in workplaces. The primary reason for this is that manual handling is carried out in most workplaces, whether it be a construction site or an office. Manual handling refers to lifting, pulling, pushing or carrying objects manually within the workplace. If poor form is used or if done incorrectly, these actions can lead to injury. There are 5 main types of manual handling hazards. These are loads, so when carrying heavy, bulky, unstable, sharp or difficult to grasp loads, injuries can occur. Another is there not being enough staff, so when carrying or lifting objects, sometimes the task is done without enough people to be done safely. There's also repetitive tasks, so this is when you are carrying out repetitive actions. It can tire muscles and hurt soft tissue, which causes injuries to occur. Bad posture and poor form is another example. It's important to use the correct lifting technique to avoid injury. And then lastly, we have floor or tripping hazards. When carrying objects, it's important that there are no hazards on the floor that you could trip over. So, how do we minimise these hazards? Before any manual handling task, it's important to assess and consider the risks. You can achieve this by asking yourself, how long will the manual handling last? How heavy is the load? Is it easy to carry in its shape and its size as well? How many people are required for completing the job safely? And are there enough people on hand to complete the task at this time? And lastly, what, if any, injuries could occur? Once we've asked ourselves these initial questions, we can also consider how we can make the process easier or have it run smoother. This can be achieved by using any support equipment such as trolleys, if possible, ensuring any walkways are clear of debris or possible trip hazards, ensuring lighting is adequate and all participants have a clear line of sight at all times, and we can also make sure that any relevant PPE has been provided. And lastly, it's important to see if any modifications can be made to objects that makes them easier to move. Lastly, I'm just going to run through some quick manual handling tips for when it comes to completing the task as safely as possible with a minimum load on the body. When carrying or lifting an object, make sure you stand reasonably close to the load, providing a strong base and preventing any unnecessary strain. It's important to always bend your knees when lifting objects and keep your back straight and avoid any rounding. It's also important to make sure you have a strong, secure grip on the load and use handles when available. It's important to take time to re-grip if needed. It's also very important to stop for rest when you need to. There's no need to rush. This could lead to a breakdown in lifting form. And lastly, it's important to try and avoid any twisting movements, as this can lead to back and body strains. In summary, due to the prevalence of manual handling injuries, having a correct understanding of how to lift and handle a heavy object is essential. It's important to remember that ahead of any manual handling that risks are first assessed, having a clear assessment process in place should be a non-negotiable for the well-being of your people. Additionally, it will ensure a smooth manual handling process is followed at all times. Once the risk has been assessed, you can then assign the correct number of workers to the task who have been trained to utilise correct lifting form and techniques. Thanks for watching. If you'd like any support or guidance relating to the content of this video, please contact the HPC team today. We can aid you in producing policies and procedures to ensure that proper manual handling technique is ingrained within the culture of your organisation. We also offer training and support in all aspects of health and safety, including manual handling. You can find our contact information in the description of this video. Thank you.